What would you do if saving one wounded girl meant making the most dangerous outlaws in the Wild West your enemies? Watch this unforgettable story of courage, sacrifice, and justice until the very end. If you enjoy powerful Wild West stories like this, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and press the bell icon so you never miss another adventure. Montana Territory, 1887. The fierce summer storm had finally passed, leaving the canyons soaked with rainwater and scattered with broken rocks. Young cowboy Cole Walker guided his chestnut horse carefully through the narrow trail, searching for two missing calves that had wandered away during the night. The silence felt strange after the thunder, interrupted only by dripping water and the distant cry of an eagle. As he rounded a sharp bend between towering cliffs, a faint voice echoed through the canyon. At first he thought it was the wind, but the desperate whisper came again, making him stop instantly. Cole dismounted and followed the sound until he reached a massive pile of fallen boulders. Beneath them lay a young Apache girl, no older than 20, with long black hair covered in dust and dried blood. Her right leg was pinned beneath a heavy rock, while cuts covered her hands from trying to free herself. Despite the pain, her dark eyes remained calm and fearless. She looked directly at the cowboy and quietly said, "Hurry, cowboy, I won't scream." Her courage surprised Cole, who had seen hardened soldiers cry out from far smaller injuries. He knelt beside the trapped girl and carefully examined the situation. The rock pressing on her leg was enormous, and pulling it carelessly could crush her completely. Leaving her behind was equally impossible because night would bring wolves and freezing temperatures to the canyon. Cole removed his hat, wiped the sweat from his forehead, and quickly studied the surrounding landscape. His eyes settled on a thick pine tree growing near the cliff. An idea formed immediately. He untied the strong rope from his saddle, determined to use his horse and the tree to shift the massive stone without harming her. Working with steady hands, Cole wrapped the rope tightly around the boulder and secured the other end around the sturdy pine tree. He adjusted the knots twice, refusing to risk a mistake. Then he guided his horse into position and whispered calmly to the animal before giving it the signal to pull. The rope stretched until it groaned under the pressure. Dust filled the air as the rock slowly began to move. Naya clenched her fists and closed her eyes, refusing to cry despite the unbearable pain shooting through her injured leg. The heavy stone shifted inch by inch until finally it rolled clear of her leg with a deafening crash. Cole rushed forward before another rock could slide loose and gently pulled Naya away from the danger. She collapsed against him, breathing heavily but still refusing to complain. Her ankle was badly swollen and deep bruises covered her leg, yet she was alive. Cole removed his bandana and carefully wrapped it around the worst wound to slow the bleeding. Naya managed a faint smile and whispered a quiet thank you, her strength earning even greater respect from the young cowboy. Before Cole could ask how she had become trapped, sharp gunshots echoed through the canyon walls. Both of them froze. Naya's expression changed, instantly from relief to alarm. She reached beneath her torn buckskin jacket and pulled out a weathered leather pouch, pressing it firmly into Cole's hands. She explained that a ruthless outlaw gang had attacked her family's camp 3 days earlier after stealing important documents proving Apache ownership of valuable land. She had escaped with the evidence, but the gang had chased her through the mountains until the storm caused the deadly rockslide that trapped her. Cole opened the pouch only briefly and saw carefully folded government papers bearing official seals and signatures. He understood immediately why the outlaws wanted them back. Those documents could expose a massive land theft involving dishonest businessmen and corrupt officials who hoped to seize thousands of acres. If the papers reached the United States Marshal, justice might finally be possible. The gunshots sounded closer now, followed by the distant voices of armed riders searching the canyon. Cole looked toward the trail, then back at the injured Apache girl, knowing there was no safe way to walk away. Without another word, he tied the leather pouch securely beneath his coat, lifted Naya gently into his arms, and carried her to his waiting horse. He helped her sit carefully in the saddle before climbing behind her to keep her from falling. As the first outlaw riders appeared on a distant ridge, Cole turned his horse toward a hidden mountain trail known only to local ranchers. Dust rose behind them as they disappeared into the wilderness. At that moment, the young cowboy understood that rescuing Naya had changed his life forever, and the dangerous journey ahead had only just begun. Ignoring the danger, Cole carefully lifted Naya onto his horse and guided the animal through hidden mountain trails known only to experienced ranchers. The journey was slow because every rough step caused pain in her injured leg. As evening settled over the Montana hills, they reached an abandoned ranger cabin surrounded by tall pine trees and thick brush. The old cabin looked forgotten, with broken windows and a weathered porch, but it still offered shelter. Cole secured his horse inside a nearby shed before helping Naya inside, knowing the outlaws would never stop searching until they found her. Inside the dusty cabin, Cole lit a small lantern and searched through old cupboards until he found clean cloth, a rusty kettle, and a few medical supplies left behind years earlier. He boiled fresh water over the fireplace, carefully washed Naya's wounds, and removed tiny pieces of stone from her leg. Although the treatment was painful, she remained remarkably calm. Cole then wrapped her injured ankle with fresh bandages and carved a simple wooden crutch for her. For the first time since the rock slide, Naya believed she might survive because someone had chosen kindness instead of fear. The following morning, sunlight streamed through the cracked cabin windows while Naya quietly watched Cole repairing the broken front door. She had grown up hearing stories that most settlers hated her people, yet this young cowboy had risked everything for a stranger. As they shared a simple breakfast of beans and fresh bread, she finally revealed the truth about the leather pouch. Inside were original government land deeds, official survey maps, and signed agreements proving that several Apache families legally owned thousands of acres before corrupt businessmen bribed dishonest officials to steal the land years earlier. Cole studied the documents carefully and understood why the outlaws were desperate to recover them. The papers could destroy a powerful criminal operation stretching across Montana territory. The outlaw leader, Victor Kane, had secretly partnered with wealthy investors who planned to seize the land for cattle ranches and mining camps worth a fortune. Anyone carrying those documents became an enemy. Naya explained that her father had died protecting the papers, while her older brother disappeared after trying to warn the U.S. Marshal. She believed she was the last person capable of exposing the truth before everything was lost forever. Listening to her story, Cole made a silent promise that the documents would reach the authorities no matter the cost. He remembered his own father teaching him that justice meant protecting the weak even when danger seemed impossible to defeat. Throughout the afternoon, he strengthened the old cabin by repairing broken shutters, stacking heavy furniture against weak walls, and gathering extra firewood. He also hid the leather pouch beneath loose floorboards where no careless searcher could easily discover it. Every preparation reminded him that trouble was approaching faster than either of them wanted to admit. Before sunrise the next morning, the peaceful silence disappeared beneath the sound of galloping horses. Cole cautiously looked through a narrow crack in the cabin wall and counted nearly a dozen armed riders surrounding the clearing. Their leader, Victor Kane, rode a black stallion and wore a long, dark coat, with 2 silver revolvers hanging from his belt. Smiling confidently, Kane shouted that he knew the Apache girl was hiding inside. He offered Cole one final chance to hand her over, promising money and safe passage if he cooperated. The offer sounded tempting, but Cole never lowered his rifle. Naya quietly reached for a hunting knife, ready to fight despite her injured leg, but Cole gently stopped her. He whispered that she had already suffered enough, and that he would never allow innocent people to face evil alone. Outside, the outlaws spread across the clearing, taking cover behind trees and boulders while waiting for Kane's order. The cabin suddenly felt very small, as bullets could easily tear through its old wooden walls. Even so, neither Cole nor Naya considered surrender, because they both understood the documents represented hope for countless Apache families waiting for justice. Victor Kane finally lost his patience and ordered his men to move toward the cabin. The tense silence exploded as boots pounded across the clearing and rifles were raised for battle. Cole stood firmly in the doorway with steady hands, determined to defend both the frightened young woman and the priceless evidence hidden beneath the floor. Beside him, Naya refused to hide, her fearless spirit shining despite the danger surrounding them. At that unforgettable moment, two strangers from different worlds stood together against overwhelming odds, beginning a legendary Wild West adventure where courage, honor, and truth would ultimately prove stronger than fear.